Hello and welcome to Getting It Done, a podcast about music, education, and life lessons. With today's special episode, a free 1-hour music seminar for students of all ages. This is episode 338, Audition Preparation, Winning Tips and Strategies. Welcome to everyone out there. It is such a pleasure to see everyone, and I am so happy that everyone has joined me today. The most important question I have from everyone out there: how well can you hear me on this microphone? I need to know, how well can you hear me on this microphone? If you can hear me great on this microphone, give me a big hello. Let me know that you're out there in the chat, because it would be great to hear from you, to find out who's here, to find out who is interested in learning today. If your friends are not here, you need to reach out to them, because out of all of the episodes I've done over the last 3 years, I guarantee you this one is going to be loaded with information that everyone will find very, very helpful. Welcome to Getting It Done. Today is Tuesday, March 24th. It's 2020. It's a little after 3 p.m. here on the East Coast, and I am so happy to be with all of you here today. I have to be perfectly honest. I'm happy to be able to take a step away from all of my virtual online work I've been doing over the past week and a half. It has been grueling. It has been tiring. If you're a teacher out there, you believe me, you have my condolences. If you're a student out there, I totally understand being all cooped up, having to do all that work in front of a computer. It can drive us completely crazy. So I feel your pain. So I wanted to do something to completely change things up. And instead of focusing on the crisis, instead of focusing on things that have to do with specific technology-based things, I wanted to go with something a little different today, which has to do quite bluntly with preparing. And notice that the key word here is not audition, but the key word is preparation. Now, today, I am not just going to talk about going into a music audition. I am going to be talking about every single type of interview, competition, audition, any of these types of things where you're ultimately competing against others. And my goal today, hopefully over the course of the next hour, is to equip you with the tools to be able to give you, even if it's just one thing you've never heard before or one perspective that you've never considered before, with your own preparation. So let's have at it. First of all, I need to give you a little bit of my own background so you understand why I'm very, very passionate about this specific topic. One of the primary reasons that people retain me as a mentor is to help them with their preparation. And I have had so many students of all ages, ranging in age from students only 11, 12 years old, all the way up to people that are in their 50s, to assist them with any type of edge they can get when it comes to an interview, when it comes to a competition, when it comes to an audition, anything that is going to be able to help them out. Over the course of the past 25 years, I have been a teacher in the public schools, and I have prepared more ensembles than I can possibly count, both instrumental ensembles, instrumental ensembles, choral ensembles. I've prepared small chamber ensembles. I've prepared solos, duets, trios. Esther even mentioned marching band. I've been a marching band director for over 20 years, so I've certainly prepared groups for those types of competitions. And I have to be perfectly honest with you. The things that I'm going to say today apply to all of these things. But the other background that I also have is as a private instructor. Now, I've been teaching privately for nearly 30 years. And over the course of my private uh, teaching career with my music studio, I have been able to help over 300 students successfully gain acceptance into various groups, various schools, specific types of positions within organizations. I've been able to help people get jobs. And when I say help people get jobs, not just in music, but in other types of areas as well. Um, so it's been an awesome thrill for me, and those are just the students who were successful. I'm not including the students that I trained who were unsuccessful. And what I would like to start off with first is something that everybody needs to understand. If you don't try, you're never going to succeed. It's impossible to succeed at anything if you don't try. And I have met so many people who do not submit the application, they don't follow through with the paperwork, or they do those things, and then the day comes, whatever the big day is, and they're not ready, or they just don't show up. Or some people do show up, but they don't show up because they're not mentally, emotionally prepared to go through whatever that process is. To quote Les Brown, who I consider to be a mentor of sorts because I have listened to so many of his videos over the course of my career. It is better to be prepared and not get an opportunity than to get an opportunity and not be prepared. It is better to be prepared and not get that chance, not get that audition, not get that opportunity, than to have the audition, the competition, or the opportunity come along and you are not prepared. And one of the very first things that we're going to talk about right away, is this one big word: nerves. How many people who have entered these types of situations, they're nervous? I'm not just talking about a little bit nervous. I'm talking about being very, very nervous. The type of nervous where you are in a situation where you're not going to be able to necessarily be yourself. Because I have thought about this over and over, and I have not gotten this information from psychologists, psychiatrists. I have not even done any type of online study with this. This is my firm belief. Rausenberger 101. There are only two reasons, that people get nervous. Only two. Reason number one, people get nervous is because they care. Whatever it is that you want to do, you care about. For instance, think about a point in your life when there's been someone that you really like. And I'm talking more in a relationship type of stance, someone that you're interested in pursuing. What's a big reason you don't pursue that person? Big reason is because you're nervous. Well, why are you nervous? You're nervous because maybe you lack some confidence, but ultimately it has to do with the fact that you care. This is something that you want very, very much in your life, and you want it so, so badly. And you want that position in that symphony orchestra. You want to make it into that dance group in the worst possible way for your entire life. Finally, the first time ever, you're able to try out for a cheerleading squad. Oh my goodness, you've entered middle school or you've entered high school, and there's a play that's going to be taking place and they're holding auditions. I want to do that. I want to be in that play. I want to be on that stage. I want to make it into a marching band. Perhaps it's a competitive marching band. And I just want to make it in the band. I don't care what I have to do, but I want to make it into that band. I want to try out for an honor ensemble in which I'm going to be competing against dozens, hundreds, thousands of people for a select number of spots, or 3, or 1. Or we are an ensemble, and we want to go to a special competition. We're ready to go. We want to go so badly, but we are so nervous. Why are we nervous? For all of these reasons, we're nervous. Number one reason, because you care. You want it. You want it really, really badly. It's not, right now, we're not worrying about your feelings being hurt, which Esther mentioned, and that's an excellent point. You're worried about your feelings getting hurt, and you have different types of worries. There could be other things that could be going on inside of you. But the number one thing is because you care. Number 2, the biggest reason that people get nervous is because they are not prepared. Period. You're not prepared. Now, there are many elements of not being prepared. Worrying falls under those elements, because what happens is you need to understand that when you're worrying about things that you have no control over, that falls under preparation. That's something inside of you that you need to work on. You have to work on that. And just identifying it is half of the battle. The next thing is conquering it and getting to the point where you can finally say, the heck with it. I'm just going for it. And whatever happens, happens. However the chips may fall, it's going to happen. And it's just going to be the way it's going to be. There are so many things to cover today. And one of the things that just popped into my mind that you all have to accept when it comes to preparation for auditions. I don't care how well you prepared you are for certain situations. There are sometimes specific interviews, jobs, specific competitions, specific auditions, where before you even enter the arena, you're not going to win. I'm telling you, you're not going to win. Something is already, before you even walk in there, something is already working against you. I, as a marching band director this past year, with my colleague, made a decision that there were very specific competitions where we told our marching bands, we are not going to compete, and we're going to tell you why in these specific competitions, why we are not going to compete. And quite bluntly, it had to do with the fact that it wasn't so much that we didn't feel we were going to get first place, that we weren't going to get first place. It was much more that we were not going to be getting a true idea of who we were. And we weren't going to be getting a fair shake. We weren't going to be getting a situation where we were going to be judged without any type of judgment, anything against us. It's almost like we had a sense that we might have been an afterthought because there were other groups that may have been there that the judges were more interested in. Well, guess what, my friends? That happens with all of these other areas. That happens when you are interviewing 6 people and you see those 2 people on the list and you're like, I really am looking forward to those 2 particular candidates. And you know what? One of those candidates may know someone. You can't do anything about it. You can sit there and cry. You can say it's unfair. That is part of life. But I'll tell you this, over the course of my life, I have gotten far more out of the rejections. I have gotten far more out of the times when things didn't work out. And in the end, I always tell my students there was a reason that it happened. For some reason, it happens. Let me take you back a bit. Okay. My very first audition of my life, very first audition, was 7th grade. It was on the trumpet. Now, it wasn't on this trumpet, and there's some significance with that too, because that particular trumpet, well, I would never sell that trumpet that I just showed you because it is, to me, priceless. I love that particular trumpet right there, and it is a trumpet that works for me. It helps me to sound the best that I can sound. The trumpet that I had to audition on was a student model instrument, which is basically the lowest quality. And I already had things working against me because I had people who had plumbing that was superior to mine. But there are also other people there who were they were simply better players. Now, I walked in to the warm-up area for my audition, and I was there for about 6 hours. I was there all alone. When I mean all alone, I mean all alone. My parents weren't with me. It's, I think, the only time in my entire life that my parents were not with me. And I'm going to tell you why. It wasn't because they're bad parents. They were more than willing to go. But what had happened was my instructor, my private instructor, told my parents that he had a bus basically going from his school, and he would take me along with the other students to the audition. And my parents said, what a great idea. In hindsight, it was the worst thing that could have ever happened to me because it was my very first audition. Unfortunately, that instructor and my other teachers No one gave me any advice on how to prepare for the audition. I mean, no advice at all. I knew what I had to do. I knew what I had to play, but I didn't know how to prepare. What I mean by prepare is I didn't know how to control my emotions. I didn't know how to control my nerves, my feelings, my anxiety, all the crazy things that hit you on the day of. And then the worst thing happened, as if that wasn't bad enough. I'm sitting in this auditorium all alone. Now you're wondering, why is my instructor not there? My instructor was not there because my instructor was there for the day because he was sponsoring students and he needed to be a judge. So I was in this massive auditorium and everybody's playing their instruments and singing, and it was just chaos. And I'm playing every so often. Then I'd take a break. Then I'd play again every so often. My audition time was, oh my goodness. I was there at 9 o'clock in the morning. I was there until about 3 p.m. And Esther, yes, I did feel like it. Believe me. No, something much worse happened, Esther. At about 2 o'clock, the room started to thin out and there weren't that many people left. And at this point, I would say there were maybe about 15 people left in the entire auditorium. One of them was a trumpet player. And I could see, I was in 7th grade. I could see that this trumpet player, she was older. I couldn't tell how much older. It looked like she was in 9th grade because this was for 7th, 8th, and 9th graders. She looked like a 9th grader. And I remember her picking up her trumpet. And this is why I have the trumpet here, and I hope it's not too loud. I'm going to try to play away from the mic. But I am working. One of the things I had to do for this audition, we had to do scales. Okay, so I'll just give you an example. If you're not familiar with what a scale is on a musical instrument, this is what a scale sounds like. Okay, so this is a major scale. If I just play the most basic major scale on a trumpet, a C major scale. Now, a lot of people understand and recognize that that has a very specific rhythm to it. That particular rhythm is associated with a lot of these auditions. For the longest time, we referred to it as being all-state rhythm. Okay, the first note is long, whole bunch of shorter notes. High note is long, whole bunch of shorter notes. Last note is long. So quarter note, bunch of eighths, quarter note, bunch of eighths, quarter note. But I also had to do something called a chromatic scale. And the chromatic scale, of course, has all the notes in the scale from whatever the starting note is going to be to whatever the highest note is going to be back down to the starting note. And you go up and down by half steps. When I was practicing my chromatic scale, this is what my chromatic scale sounded like. And this is when I was in 7th grade. And yes, I'm going to intentionally, I'm probably going to make some mistakes. I'm doing this on purpose because my chromatic scale was never great when I was in 7th grade. This is what my scale sounded like. You get the idea. Okay. The type of scale that when you walk into a room and you play it at that speed, deep down, the judges want to do this. Deep down, the judges, they've already made their judgment in their mind. They already know. They know what score they're going to give you. And even if you were to do it again, they're not going to forget the first sounds. They can't unhear those sounds that they made. Now, the girl that was next to me, this was her C scale. It was so fast. And it was one of those types of things where I kind of just stopped and I looked and I said to myself, uh-oh. Yeah. And then she played her chromatic scale. Minus the one phantom note that I played in there that wasn't so great. When she played that chromatic scale, I was done. I was done. Psyched out. I said to myself, I may as well leave right now. I'm not making it. I had no chance of making it. And the reason why was because once I heard her, I got it in my mind, I have no chance. And the second you say to yourself, I have no chance, you don't have any chance. And the chances of you making it into that particular group, of you getting that job, of you earning that part, has just dropped immeasurably. I walked in to the audition room an hour later. I was shaking uncontrollably. I am not kidding when I tell you. This has never happened in my entire life. I'd never experienced this ever. I could not stop shaking. I was like a leaf in a storm. It was terrible. I went to go play my C scale. I couldn't believe they asked me to play the C scale. Because the C scale is, it not only is it an easy scale, I just didn't expect them to ask me to do it in the audition. Here's what happened for the C scale. This is exactly what I played. I was shaking. Now, if you're watching my fingers, because some of you that are trumpet players may have noticed, I threw a B flat in there. Yeah, it happened. My entire life. I know how to play a C scale. I know that has a B natural in it. It has a B. I know there are no sharps and no flats. I was so nervous. I was shaking so badly. And I hit, and then I don't know why I played a B flat. Look, what my goodness. And here's the thing, and this is a mistake. Don't make this mistake. Auditions of any kind are not about being perfect. There are many of you right here in this chat that you think if you make one teeny tiny little mistake, oh, I didn't get it. I did so terrible. How ridiculous. You couldn't be more wrong. All day, every day of the week, I would much rather hear a trumpet player who goes through an entire audition and they play the C scale with the B flat, but it sounds like this. Because here's what I know. I know that the person played the wrong note. I did hear it as a judge that they played B flat. You know what else I heard? Confidence. You know what else I heard? A really nice tone. You know what else I heard? Somebody who's prepared. And they made a little goof. Like I say to my students all the time, when you played your first sport, take soccer, for instance, you're 4 or 5 years old. I mean, let's be honest. What's painful than watching a bunch of 4 and 5-year-olds playing soccer? I mean, it's painful because everybody's running around all over the field. Nobody has any idea what to do. And some kids, they're just running around because they just are happy that there's an open field. I don't know what's going on, but it's painful. The concept of passing is out the window. You'll have 1 or 2 kids on the field that can seriously play, but the rest of it, yikes. But here's the big thing that you should have learned. Is you're running on the field, on that soccer field, and you trip and you fall flat on your face, but not to the point where you've broken anything, where you've hurt anything really badly. Maybe you got a little cut, you got a little bruise or whatever, but it's very, very minor. think of the children that repeatedly, and hopefully they don't, they fall down 4 or 5 years old and they start crying, but they stay down. And you as a parent, you as a coach, you as a teammate are screaming, get up, get up, get up, get up. Because if you can look up, you can get up. That's another Les Brown line. If you can look up, you can get up. You dust yourself off. You pick yourself up. You make a mistake in an audition, who cares? Go on. Act as if it was the most that you meant the mistake, that you meant have an interview. Somebody asks you a question. You totally and completely botched the question. You know you did. And by the way, if you're doing an interview, if someone is interviewing, because I have to say this, because more and more with a lot of these auditions and competitions, there's a lot of back and forth that will happen. There will be an interview that'll be involved. Please don't lie in the interview process. If you don't know the answer to something, just be honest. Say you don't know the answer. Everybody doesn't know everything. You may not have the answer. The biggest mistake, oh my goodness, if I could take things back. When I was 22, 23 years old and I was interviewing for jobs, I would get these questions thrown at me. I didn't know how to prepare. I had no clue how to prepare for interviews. And people would ask me questions and I'm coming up with these stupid answers that made no sense at all. And I'm saying to myself, my goodness, the people in the room, I think about it now. They're probably saying, oh my goodness, when is this going to end? And I think that a lot of those interviews ended very, very early because they probably skipped questions because they just wanted to get me out of there because it was a disaster. So I would much rather hear somebody with that type of confidence than hear a C scale that is safe. You know what that tells me? It tells me that person might be able to play, but probably not the best candidate. Oh, by the way, I played all the notes perfectly. Which one did you prefer? Think about it. Think about it. All day, every day of the week, you want the first person. Now, listen, you cannot go through any type of audition where there are mistakes in everything. That's no good. Okay? The bottom line is that you have to understand auditions. Forget about competitions right now. Auditions, interviews. Here is what it ultimately comes down to, my friends. The people in the room are evaluating your talent and your potential at this particular time. At this particular time, are you ready to make the team? Are you ready to play in our band? Are you ready to teach children in a classroom? That's what this is all about. Now, let's be honest about something here. Some of these judges leave a lot to be desired. There are some people who are horrible at evaluating talent. Not a clue. I've been in audition rooms before. I have fought. I always fight for the underdog. Not so much because I want the underdog to win. It's not even so much that. I cannot stand when someone in an audition room, oh my goodness, that was the greatest flute playing I've ever heard. Oh, are you kidding me right now? Really? You've never heard Jean-Pierre Rampal. You've never heard James Galway. You're going to sit here and tell me that 8th grade flute player that you just heard, that's the greatest one ever? And let's go one step further. I misread Jared's question here in the chat. But if the person who's auditioning is perfect, what's the point of auditioning? If they're perfect, the job would have been handed to that person a long time ago. And let's talk about that for a moment. There are people who are essentially handpicked for specific positions. It's part of life, my friends. Deal with it. I'm sorry to give you the sobering reality. It is what it is. There are certain bands and choruses that enter competitions. They always seem to get first or second. Some of that has to do with the reputation that precedes them. It's not fair. I couldn't agree more. You know what I say? You take your band, you take your chorus, you go in, you do your damage, and you say, we're here and we mean business. And you go in there and you blow them away. I'll tell you right now, one of my proudest moments this past marching band season was when a judge said to us, you guys came here to play. Boy, that was cool. And our whole band said, heck yeah. Heck yeah, we came here to play. You're not kidding. Yeah, we have some mistakes. Yeah, there's some people who are out of step. Yeah, there's some wrong notes. Yeah, there are some balancing issues and blend issues. But you know what? We came here to play. We mean business. We're taking this serious today. I had an audition competition. It was 7 years ago. We got first place at this competition. First time in the school's history. Happened to be my first year working with this particular staff. Very proud of this because they've never gotten first place in a competition. It was their first competition of the year. They've been competing for 30 years, never got first place. And while I will not take credit for everything, we had some very talented staff members and students in that particular group. I will take credit for this. We adopted a military style with our marching. And let me tell you something. We were with a judge in the end zone. And I remember the drum major calling the band to attention. And when they went to attention, it was with such precision. And they yelled out, I can't remember what it was that they yelled out at the time, but it was so loud. And the judge froze. This was a judge, an experienced person that had been with the evaluation, the judging circuit for a long time. And that person said, whoa, I haven't heard anything like that in like 10 years. You don't think that altered their opinion? Absolutely it did. And it wasn't part of the actual competition. You made an impression right away. For 3 straight years, when I was in the process of doing serious interviewing for serious positions, I finally realized something, and I wanted to have something to have an edge over other candidates. I'm going to show you what it is. And the question you need to ask yourself is, do you have something comparable? And if you don't, get on it. Get the edge over someone else. When it comes to an interview, walk in with something like this. Walk in with a binder. You see how thick this binder is? Look at the side. These pages, they're all laminated. How about walking in with that? 100 pages. Now, it's not possible for a person at the interview to read all 100 pages. What was the key? I went through it. I highlighted certain things. I actually have a table of contents. This particular thing right here is my entire life. Everything that I've accomplished in my educational career. You have to be prepared for when that opportunity comes along. You need to be prepared. Do you know how many days I had to prepare for this? One day. That was it. Union City, where I'm working right now. I had 1 day to prepare for my interview. The only thing I had to do was study Union City inside out, study Hudson County inside out, get an idea, educate myself on anything and everything I could about the music, about the arts programs, about everything going on in the city. So I could go in there and then hopefully I could be more prepared and know more information than the person sitting across from me who's been working in the district for 25 to 30 years. But I'm going to tell you something right now. When I walked in with this, they were stunned. Abs gave me the privilege and the honor to be able to come in for an interview, which means they have interest. Well, I don't want to waste their time. Don't go into someone's audition. Don't go into someone's interview wasting their time and your time. Don't go in with a half-hearted effort. You're either all in or you're out. It's one or the other, my friends. You can't do it halfway. It doesn't work that way. So this is old. If I want to update it, I can update it. I can update it pretty quickly. It won't take me very long. I'd need more than a day, I can tell you that. But I had this thing ready to go. Now, in terms of audition preparation, what are the things you need to do to get over the nerves? Well, you need to work on your preparation. There's no other way to possibly put it. How do you work on your preparation? It all depends on your particular situation. I can tell you right now, one of the greatest lines ever is a quote from Rocky. And this was Rocky, the great boxing films. And he says that Mickey, the trainer, says that in order to prepare for a 45-minute fight, you need to train for 45,000 minutes. 45,000 minutes for a 45-minute fight. That's 1,000 minutes per 1 minute. Well, let's think about that. If you're going in for an audition, using just that analogy right there, and you're going in for an audition, and it's going to be a 10-minute audition, you should be preparing 10,000 minutes. Now, think about how many hours that is. Yes. That means the second that you get off of this podcast, you get off of this webinar, you should be preparing. If you're a singer, if you want to be a professional singer, you better be able to do a lot of things. You better know so many songs that at any given time, you have the song ready to go at any given time. Whatever the songs are. Now, if you really want to show how versatile you are, you can sing in different types of styles. That's going to earn you extra points, certainly. And from memory. You don't have anything in front of you. You have to know it. You have to learn it. And I hate to say it, but there are some people, I don't care how badly you want it, if you can't do this and you can't prepare in this way, this might it might not be for you. This is a very, very competitive world. Right now, look at the companies, what the companies are doing in the middle of the crisis. Everyone had to adapt because you can't go to a school right now. You can't go to a college right now. You can't go to a training site right now. These things are not possible. You can't do it in person in so many areas of the United States. So what have they worked? What have they latched onto? Virtual training, online training. And they're changing their, and if you don't change, that's fine. You're going to perish. Your company's going to go down the drain. That's just the way it works. The word cutthroat, what Charlize just said, absolutely true. It's cutthroat. It's what they call a dog eat dog world. You have to want this so badly. That's the biggest thing. For any audition, any interview, any competition, your group, you as an individual, should be absolutely, I mean, 95% of your preparation should be completely finished at least 1 full week before the event. If not, you're probably going to have some problems. You're probably going to have some problems. This is the reason why successful music programs are organized. Successful theater programs are organized. Successful school districts are organized. Think about the spot. I can tell you, there have been times I've walked into job interviews for things. Nope. I knew I didn't want to work there. I'd be walking in. The person who's supposed to be interviewing me is not even in the room when I'm supposed to be there. They get there. They don't even have anything out in front of them. And it was like, I was like an afterthought. And I'm saying to myself, this is where I want to work? Really? I had a job interview. It was just a part-time position for something. I get contacted weekly. I get at least 5 to 10 different offers for jobs a week. And, you know, obviously I'm not leaving my full-time position. I love it, for starters. And you know, it's a full-time position, and it pays me well, obviously. I mean, in terms of the benefits alone. And I love working in the public schools. But I do get offers to do other types of things, part-time positions. I had a company who claimed that they wanted me very, very badly, and they wanted me to be a mentor for their company. The recruiter, I contacted her 4 times. She didn't respond. The fifth time, thank you very much. You can withdraw my name from consideration. And I was polite about it. She took 8 days to get back to me. That's not a place where I want to work, because if the person's getting back to me and they're taking that much time, they can't even express they don't even have the common decency and courtesy to be able to get back to you in any type of a timely manner. What's it going to be like to work for that person or work for that company? So, in terms of your preparation, if we take, for instance, a music audition or an arts-based audition, So right now, I've talked a lot about job interviews. I've talked a lot about sports teams, cheerleading squads, things of that nature. Okay, or cheerleading teams, some people like to call them. What I'm going to go through right now for the remainder of the session are some basic things to keep in mind for your preparation. Basic things for your preparation. Okay, and these are in no specific order. These are just general things. These are general things that you do in advance. So prior to the audition, these are all things done in advance. Number 1, take care of yourself. If you're a singer, take care of that voice. You don't need that voice. You don't need to be having laryngitis or tired vocal cords walking in for an audition. If you're an actor and actress, you can't be walking in with laryngitis. That's not going to be working out very well for you. So you've got to take care of yourself. You need to take care of your health. You need to get a good night's sleep. You need to hydrate yourself frequently. And I say it, I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. Whatever your body weight is, whatever the number is for your body weight, take that number, divide it in half. That's how much water in ounces you should be consuming a day, minimum, absolute minimum. Make sure that you're doing those things. So take care of yourself. If you don't take care of your health, nobody else is taking care of you. You got to take care of yourself. Okay. Second thing, in terms of just overall preparation, okay? You should be practicing for hours a day. A half hour is not going to cut it. My students who have been the most successful for their auditions have practiced a minimum of 1 hour a day. That's the way that I've been able to help students to grab first chairs in, I've lost track of how many competitions, and not just on trumpet. I've been able to get students into first chairs in honor bands ranging from county, area, region, all state, all Eastern, all national. And I've had students that have gotten first chair in all of those groups and on multiple instruments. And here's the one thing they all had in common. All of those students, every one of them, practice at least an hour a day. Now, you have to be smart with your practicing. You can't do it all at once. That would be what we call stupid practicing. There's no other word for it. That's just plain dumb. Don't practice for 8 hours consecutively. It's completely and totally counterproductive and useless. It's a waste of time because playing a musical instrument, just that alone, is so difficult to do. The process of playing a musical instrument is not easy at all. I was just reading. I was just teaching a lesson to my students about 3 hours ago. I did a Zoom session with my students at school, and we were discussing the life of Louis Armstrong. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think I do a pretty good Louis Armstrong. And of course, Louis Armstrong played the trumpet. Well, one of the things I didn't even know that I learned from the article that the students were reading about Louis Armstrong was that he had to take 2 years off because he hurt his lips. So there was something that he did to his lips. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was an infection. I don't know if it's that he played too much. I don't know if it was just overall fatigue. I don't know what it was. But it said that he took 2 full years off from playing. That's got to be crazy. I mean, I think about not being able to play. There was a span recently where I wasn't able to play for about a month, and that was brutal. I was miserable not being able to play my trumpet. So, but be that as it may, when you're doing your practicing, do it in chunks. Anything you do is going to be better. And that's the next thing, chunking. When you are practicing, when you're preparing for anything at all, you have to do things in chunks. You have to do them in little bits. If you think about like marching band as an example, those of you that are familiar with marching band, if you're doing an entire drill, you don't do the entire drill from start to finish. That's the same as doing a scene and you just do the entire scene from start to finish. Every single time. You start from the beginning and you go all the way through the scene. Or if you're singing a song, singers are the worst when it comes to this, the absolute worst. And I'm a singer, I can say this. Singers love to start the song from the beginning and go all the way through the song. That is bad practicing. That is horrible, horrible practicing. I recently sang on one of my podcasts last week. I sang a cover of Lost Boy. I had to work on that. I had to work on that cover. I had to figure out when was I going to sing I am a lost boy from Neverland. Am I going to sing it in my chest voice, my normal tenor/baritone singing voice? I am a lost boy from Neverland. Am I going to sing it in a light voice that's falsetto? Am I going to do a mix? How am I going to do this? I didn't start from the beginning every time. That's bad practicing. You have to chunk. You have to do it in bits and pieces, the way that I just did it, and see what works for you. Find out what is most effective for you with your preparation. Number 4, get everything you need, everything that you're going to potentially need for the day of the audition. Water. Huh. How many, how people can show up to an audition, any audition, and not have water with them is beyond me. So you are going to a foreign location, you've forgotten your water, and now you're going to have to drink out of the water fountain? Are you for real? Make sure to bring water with you. That is so critical. It's so critical that you have that ready with you. Okay, prepare. Me, I'm the type of person, I have in my car, I have 2 full packages of water, like 2 24 packs of water. Okay, so that's something that's critical. If you play an instrument, make sure you have your instrument in your case. Oh my goodness. How many students I've known who have gone to auditions, they leave their instrument at home. I mean, are you kidding? Leaving your music at home. Make extra copies of your music. No, you're not supposed to have copies, but you're allowed to have copies of music if you have the original music. That you're allowed to do. So always have extra copies of your music available. If you are an instrumentalist, bring a music stand with you. What are you going to do? You're going to assume that they're just going to be there. Well, hello, he has now walked in. He is in the room. And now we are going to grant him a music stand. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, they're not throwing a red carpet out for you because you've arrived. And I'll see these students. This happens every single audition. And you could think back, if you're a director, you know what I'm talking about. You walk into an auditorium, you see more than half of the kids, they don't have music stands. So how are they practicing? They got the music on their laps. They're crouched over like this because this is going to really get a really nice sound. I mean, this is really going to this is really nice. Oh boy, I feel really comfortable now. Oh, I'm sure I'll be able to play really well now. Let me try. I mean, are you kidding me? I can't even move right now because I actually can't move because I'll hit my microphone. I don't want to knock down my backdrop here. Okay. I can't move. I have nowhere to go. Well, when you're sitting in an auditorium chair, you don't have anywhere to go either. Or the ones that will, they've taken their music and somehow or another, they've attached it to the back of the auditorium chair. No planning, no preparation in advance. These things have to happen. You've got to do these things. You do these things. This is going to take away a lot of the nerves. You're going to feel more prepared. You're going to feel ready. And that's important. Now, I haven't included everything. I will tell you that included with taking care of yourself, please, before these auditions, well before, whenever it's going to be, make sure you get something in your stomach. I will hear people say, I'm too nervous to eat, and that's fine. But when I do my podcast, guys, I'm eating right before the podcast begins. You need to know that. I'm doing a 1-hour session or more where you are getting all of me. You're getting my everything. And the only reason that I have my water is just to hydrate from time to time. And yes, I've had an occasional episode here and there where I knew the episode was going to be going longer, but I really try not to eat when I'm doing my podcast. I just don't think it's professional. That's just my own feeling, unless I'm doing a podcast on food. And if you want to check that out, you can check out my fast food episode because that was a lot of fun. But right up until the podcast is about to begin, or I had like a nice full lunch. I had an awesome, amazing chicken lunch today at 2:00. And I feel great. I feel amazing. You've got to do that. So take care of that. Jared, thank you so much for helping out Esther with that question. I appreciate that. Listen, and I'll just quickly address that. Drugs, vaping, smoking, whatever you want to call it, alcohol. Listen, people are going to do whatever they're going to do. I've had people who have openly said that those things do not affect them, or they help them, or they hurt them. I've had all of those things. I know for myself, I enjoy, and it's rare, extremely rare, but occasionally I'll have a wine with dinner. I mean, when I say rare, maybe once every 2 months. I just don't drink. But I will never, ever have any wine within 48 hours of any audition of any type, especially one where I'm going to be very, very, or a performance, I should say, an audition or a performance, where I'm going to be very, very active, meaning I'm going to need a lot of energy in the performance, and I'm probably going to perspire. But more importantly, I never have that because there's something specifically about alcohol that does something to my vocal cords. So if I know that I'm going to need to be doing some serious amounts of singing, I just I just don't do it. So you have to know yourself. I'm not going to tell people. I'm not going to be that guy. You should not be doing this. That's not for me to decide. That's for you to decide. Okay, you are. I would assume a grown up, and you are someone who knows yourself and you know your body. You know what's good. You know what's not so good. And if you want this badly enough, I can tell you right now that the top actors, the top actresses, the top musicians in the world who are auditioning for all of these different types of positions, they are the ones that are taking care of everything that I just talked about there. They're doing all these things. They're especially taking care of themselves. I guarantee you that. Now, in terms of the day of the audition, everything should go smoothly on the day of whatever the audition is, if you prepare all these things, because here's what's going to happen, and it happens to everyone. Before I start my podcast, before I have a performance, before I'm getting ready for rehearsal, before I'm about ready to teach a class, before any of those things, there is a slight nerve that goes off in my body, in terms of nerves, in terms of teeny tiny little bit of anxiety, teeny tiny little bit of panic. Why? Because I care. But I can tell you what the answer is almost never. It's not from a lack of preparation. And I'll tell you right now, if I ever have any of those situations that I described, and the reason I'm nervous is from a lack of preparation, no one is going to be harder on me than me. And the same thing needs to apply to you. I openly say this, and I don't want to forget to say this to directors out there. Directors, I said this at the very, very beginning, and I didn't go into it in greater detail, but I want to say this specifically to the teachers. Please, please, if your group is not prepared for a competition or for some type of adjudication, something that's going to involve judges, please do not go. If they're completely not prepared, the only reason that you should ever take them, if they're not prepared, is to teach them a lesson. And you have to be very careful with that as well, because some major damage can be done. Now, if you've got a group that's super, super arrogant and they think that they're all that, the whole big fish in the small pond type of syndrome in their school, and they think that they're just this amazing group, and then they get to that specific competition, they get to that audition, and all of a sudden they hear the other people and they say to themselves, oh my goodness, whoa, so that's what it's supposed to sound like. Okay. Teachable moment. All competitions all auditions should always, 100% of the time, be about teachable moments, memories, educational experiences. Competitions and auditions, if you're going to get first place, it should just happen. But I can tell you right now, still to this day, out of all of the bands I have ever taken to competitions over the years, and I can tell you right now, I never, not one time can I ever think of a band being completely, totally unprepared. Been close, but totally unprepared. I've always had my groups ready to go. I've always had every chorus, every band, every small ensemble ready to rock and roll. The one still to this day was the group that not only did they not award first place, they only gave out gold, silver, and bronze ratings. Those were the ratings that they gave at this particular competition. We did not get a gold rating. Still to this day, one of my best bands ever. And honestly, one of the greatest performances ever in a competition. What worked against us? Why did we not get a gold? I'm going to tell you exactly what happens. The stage, and I do not make excuses ever, but this is where, quite honestly, it was valid. All right. What happened was we got onto the stage. This stage, there was something acoustically that was really weird on the stage. And as soon as we got on there, my kids couldn't hear each other. They were having all different types of problems hearing each other properly. My percussionists, who in every single situation, I always had to get them to be quieter with this particular band. And we got onto the stage. I always had to ask them to be quieter. I couldn't hear my percussion. No one could hear the percussion. I don't know what was going on. There was a curtain behind them, I think, that was sucking up all the sounds. Couldn't hear the percussion at all. The students just couldn't hear each other. And they were concerned, and it stunk because they were so well prepared. And I felt so genuinely bad for them. And then making matters even worse and compounding things were judges who were making unfair comments and were not taking into consideration some of these issues. If you really listen to the band, you could hear that they were really well prepared. But sometimes you have factors working against you. And on some particular days, as I said earlier, there's someone who's there who's just better than you. Forget about people that they know. No, they may not know anyone. It may just be someone who's better than you. Jared, before I answer your question, when I was 22 years old, I was trying to make the decision. Am I going to be a professional singer or am I going to teach? And my voice teacher, he never pressured me with anything, but he said, Tim, you've got to find out now, right now in your life, are you ready to do this voice thing? And I can tell you that I was, but I wasn't. Let me explain. I auditioned for 4 different graduate schools. I got rejected by all 4 of them. I did not take any easy auditions. I wanted to know where I stood at that time in my life at age 22 as a tenor who had only been taking voice lessons for 3 years. And seriously, where did I stand? See, one of the problems with some of you here and people that you may know is that their auditions sometimes are too easy. You know, how about that person who always makes the basketball team? How irritating is that? And some of those people, you know, they have no problem auditioning and trying out for the simple things. But when the big thing comes along, all of a sudden they get scared because they don't want the truth to come out where failure is inevitable. and we have to learn from our failures. Do you know what was so amazing about those graduate schools, though? 4 graduate schools. Do you know that all 4 of them, they didn't have to do this? Along with their rejection letters. Now, this is before email. This is back in the dinosaurs. Here we go. T-Rex. Hello. Before the dinosaur, back in the dinosaur age, before there was email or anything like that, it was just a phone call. All 4 letters said, call us, we'll go through your audition with you. They didn't have to do that. And I'm so grateful to all 4 of those schools to this day. Considering that one of them, honestly, they weren't really very nice to me when I was there. They weren't nice to really anybody. And I didn't want to go there. One of the schools, the other 2, I desperately wanted to go to. But I got to talk to key people who were involved in the audition committee. I didn't just get thrown off to someone else. In 2 cases, I got people who were voice specialists who were on that committee. And do you know what all 4 schools said to me? Your audition was awesome. I'm saying to myself, well, if it was awesome, why didn't you take me? And all 4 schools said, even though you were so well prepared, in a few cases, 2 of the schools, they said there were people who were flat out better than you and people who were fitting our needs at this time. And all the schools said, you know what? Now, I can tell you, looking back now on it, that was great advice. When I found out, I was furious. I'm not going to lie. And I'm going to tell you why I was furious, because up until that point in my life, I really had never experienced true hardcore failure of those type of proportions. Because here's the thing, when I was in college, I worked so hard, and I didn't get every part in every single production that we had at my school, but I always knew I was going to be in the running. But it was like those 4 letters came within a week, and it was like a punch in the gut every single time. But it was also obviously a sign, and I was able to start my teaching career. And in the end, what I finally realized was I don't have to necessarily have that additional graduate school vocal experience and training to be able to be a professional singer, which I was able to do that as well while balancing my full-time position. I was able to do a lot of singing and had a really great singing career, I guess, per se. I got to sing in some really big places. I don't do as much singing now. Now I prefer to just kind of do covers, and I just do it for sheer enjoyment. And maybe who knows? We'll see. But I still keep my voice ready in case someone does come along and says, listen, we want you to record the Star Spangled Banner for us, and we're going to pay you $10,000 because we want to put it on a commercial. I can tell you right now, you give me about a week, I'll be ready to go, because I'm always preparing. I'm always preparing. I'm always ready to go. And that's what this comes down to. There are no shortcuts, my friends. Hard work is hard work. There are no shortcuts. Even the most talented people in the world, it may seem easy for them. It's usually easy for them because they've worked obnoxious amounts of hours. And to use the word that Charlize said before about being cutthroat, more than ever before, the competition is so fierce. It is almost impossible to truly make it as a professional musician as your sole source of income now. If you want to know, I can put you in touch with hundreds of people I know, hundreds of professional musicians. I had someone reach out to me on LinkedIn the other day. I mean, this is a world-class instrumentalist. Someone I don't even know. I just sent them a nice message. They seemed like a pretty awesome person. And I was You have to admit, I was a little surprised. I got a super amazing message back from them. And they actually said in their message that they were actually a little bit scared right now because of the crisis and because of this situation, because it's having a direct impact on their income. It's hard being an actor and actress. There are actors and actresses that have to wait 20 years before they have their big break. I just saw a comedian on YouTube, and I'm not going to say his name. The only reason I'm not going to is because a lot of his content is pretty inappropriate. But I mean, what a gem! Holy moly! I mean, this guy's the real deal, and he's like, I think he's about 40 years old now. I say to myself, like, I look at people with half his talent, and they're in different TV shows and stuff. And I'm saying, how did this not happen with this guy? And I don't know his story. I don't know it well enough. You know what I thought was really cool? He has tens of thousands of subscribers. And when I left a comment, he actually responded. I was shocked, but that was pretty cool. I think it made him feel pretty good. And I was pretty candid with him. And I said, my goodness, like you're a gem. Keep doing what you're doing. Your delivery, your timing, it's totally on point. There are no shortcuts. There are no special tricks of the trade other than hardcore preparation. What I will tell you is that I do have a summary and much more detailed information about audition preparation if you are interested. Here's what you need to do if you're interested in receiving this free PDF. If you'd like a free PDF on audition preparation, it's very, very simple. You need to do a few very, very basic things. If you're not already a subscriber to the channel, you need to subscribe. If you are already a subscriber here, I need you to just get one person. Honestly, can you get a lot more than one person? Because as I've said many times, and I'm very open about it, the second I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm able to unleash lots of resources to everyone. So you would need to get at least one new subscriber. I need to know who the person is, and just give me the name. You can just because I get notifications of all the new subscribers to the channel, and you can send me the name of who that new subscriber is. I need you to obviously like the episode, leave a comment on this particular episode, and if you do all those things, send an email indicating that you've done all those things to following email, which is Getting It Done Podcast, all one word, Getting It Done Podcast at gmail.com. And if you've done all those things, wait until you've done all those things. If you've forgotten what you need to do, no problem. Just send me the email. I'll be happy to send you a response of everything. Once you send that to me, I will send you the PDF. Please understand one thing with the PDF, though. Remember that this particular information is my content. So as I have said in the chat, and as just as a disclaimer, because it is my property, you cannot use this in some type of way and be able to promote it as your own. So you can't take my material and go present your own session or pass it off as something that you created, because this is something that I've created over the course of 25 years in my career. And I've worked very, very hard. I've done many seminars, many workshops on this particular area. And this webinar again is free to you. This is my gift to everyone this week. One of several webinars I'm going to be doing. I'll be doing webinars Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tomorrow's webinar, by the way, Wednesday's webinar is going to have to do with practicing. Okay, effective practicing in all different types of areas. I'm going to be demonstrating quite a bit with my trumpet. I'm going to be demonstrating with my voice, but I'm going to show you ways that you need to practice to be more, there's no other way to put it, be more effective and to improve appropriately. So that'll be tomorrow's podcast topic for the free webinar, which will be at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, if you're interested in the information for the audition preparation, please send me an email and I'll be happy to send you what you need. If you have not already subscribed, please feel free to do so. And I'm going to give a quick shout out to every single person who was in this episode. I never even did this episode because I got into it, and I thank so many people for helping one another here. This is what makes all of you so amazing. And I appreciate it. If you didn't give a thumbs up already to the episode, make sure to take care of that. Remember, you have to wait about 10 to 15 minutes or so. YouTube processes the entire live stream video, and then the video becomes available to the public. Do me a favor. Well, do yourselves a favor. Leave a comment. You got to leave a comment on this particular live stream. And then after you send me the email, I can send you that PDF with that detailed information. So a quick hello and thank you to all of the following people in the chat. Could not have done it without you. Angels Toys Review, Esther, the regular Esther, who is at everything. Great to see you. Jared, oh my goodness, what a welcome surprise, and thank you for all of your incredible input. Obviously, and Jared, by the way, just so you know, I'm going to say this out loud on the air so I don't forget. I am looking into ways to actually have another person on with me at the same time on YouTube. If I can't do it on YouTube, I may even try to find another platform. But I would definitely, especially right now, I would love to interview you. I know that that's something that we had talked about, so we're going to do that extremely soon, even if we have to do it with the good old social distancing, even if I have to do it where we have to be in 2 different rooms, but we're going to make it happen. Hello to Edward. Let's see who else we had here today. Who else was here? Nydia, but I know who Nydia is. It's the great Sharon. Michelle G, good old Michelle G is back, another regular here. Val, thank you for Val for flexing your muscles, as you do very, very well. I appreciate that a great deal. She put that in one of her comments. Let's see who else we have. Charlize, yet again, another great day hearing from you. Golden Boy 1 and 09. When am I going to go to Union Hill? Soon. Very, very soon. As soon as we are back in school, I guarantee you that I'll be there. I've been meaning to make it by to try to stop by for a rehearsal, so I'll be there very soon. So no worries, and thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it a great deal. Janet, I believe it is. And I'm not sure. I hope I pronounce it right. It's either Janet or Janae, but thank Govera. So thank you for stopping by. And let's see if there's anybody else who I missed in here. Okay. All right. And I am happy that Esther enjoyed my red shirt and my tie. The tie, by the way, see, it's a trumpet tie. I had to do that, but I don't know how well you were able to see it here. But I will tell you this. I'm loving the background. And I hope you like it too. I have some other backgrounds here, other backdrops that we can use, but this is certainly one of my favorites. Thank you to everyone for coming out today. Please, as always, subscribe, share, like, and make sure to spread the word about getting it done. Tomorrow we'll be back with another webinar at 3 p.m. And I will absolutely be doing a non-music education webinar sometime within the next week. I have to figure out what day is going to work best for my schedule. Yes, I'm working harder now than I typically do because this online teaching is so exhausting. So I will be having a 7 p.m. episode sometime to the next week about some type of topic. It's going to be. So thanks again to everyone. You guys are the best. Peace.